son. Let's just adjust this top a bit more. I haven't even rehearsed this thing. This thunder needs to stop. I can't record with you shouting at me. You pull me off, okay? Thunder? Jeez. Hey guys, this is Shah Babatuni from Ken Blue. If you've been watching my videos for a while and you haven't yet, please subscribe. Please also leave a comment if you have any comments or thoughts on what we're talking about today. We'd love to hear from you, and please like or dislike if you don't like it. Any engagement is great engagement. If you disagree, feel free to disagree. We'd love to hear from you either way. Today we're talking about developing a service blueprint. A service blueprint is a document that kind of maps out your customer journey and all the internal and external things that need to happen. It kind of separates what you're doing as a side hustle to what you're doing as a business. So it kind of gives you a bit of a transition as part of that transition to go from just a side hustler to a businessman. Now I know some people might be thinking, what's the difference? Side hustle or business? Money's money, isn't it? I'm making money. But you know when you get in contact with like a caterer and you've got maybe a wedding or a birthday happening and you say to them, oh, can I get your price list? Like, I want to know how much you charge. And they say to you, oh, how many people you've got? And you say, oh, 100, so can I get your price list? Okay, and is it per head or per, yeah, but can I get your price list? Okay, what kind of food do you want? Do you want starters, do you want menu? And you're like, yeah, but can I get your price list? They don't ever send you a price list, but by the time you finish explaining what you want, they think about it, they take some time and they give you one quote. And often it's like, it shows they don't really have a system in place, they don't really have a journey in place, it's quite sporadic. That's kind of what a hustle is. You're making money, but the money making process is very sporadic. It's very, oh, do you want, oh, I could probably do that. Oh, we could probably sort that out. There is no actual journey that your customer goes on. There's not many processes or systems in place to kind of monitor that customer journey. A business usually has a system in place to kind of monitor and manage a customer journey. It usually has a price list you can explain and a breakdown of what you provide to a customer. Of course, for some services, that's not possible. So this is not for all services or all products. So of course, for some services, they're so bespoke that the pricing must be quoted based on what you tell them. However, there's still a journey that a customer goes on that is usually documented and clear for any customer who's interested. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about creating a service blueprint so customers can have a smooth journey with you in your business. We're talking about service blueprints today to give you some tips to help you ensure that your customers have a smooth process with you and to give you some relief and some help in what you're doing. So we're talking about three things today: the customer journey, the internal journey, and the correspondence and delivery of your product or service. So it's very important to kind of look at these things and look into this and to look at each of these journeys and map it out and identify where they connect and where they digress, and understanding them very thoroughly. A quick tip: a benefit of a service blueprint is it creates a strong relationship between you and a customer when you can be reliable because they can see what's happening and understand why it's happening even before it happens. And number two, it creates an effective framework for your terms and conditions. Often, a business isn't able to create terms and conditions for their business because they haven't got a clear service for their business. They haven't got a clear blueprint on how the service goes. They don't know exactly what they're delivering or how long it's going to take. So how do you create terms and conditions about a service that isn't very clear? So this is one of the reasons why it's important to get a service blueprint in place, because it helps to manage and develop your terms and conditions. So the first one we're talking about is the customer journey. So the customer journey is about mapping out what your customer has to do, has to provide, how they provide it from start to finish, and the timelines for each stage. So from the moment they engage with you, do they fill in a form? Or do they visit your website first and make a decision? Like, what do you want from the customer at that particular stage? Do you do it over the phone? Do you do it, what's the ideal situation? If there are multiple options, still map out how each option works. So you need to map out the journey the customer goes through. Now you may have to create these journeys all together to have some smooth synergy, or you may already have one particular journey in place and then you build the others based on that journey. It's up to you how you do it, but just as long as you get it done. So as I said, you kind of map it out, like the customer journey. How do they meet us, or how do they interact with us? Okay, once they've completed the form, what happens next for them? What do they need to do next? At what point are they paying the invoice? At what point are they paying for the service? Are they paying for the service all on the website? So you might have to map out the website customer journey for them. What they do, they click add to cart, then they fill in the form, like map out that journey. How smooth is that journey? How smooth is that experience? And then once they have paid, for example, what's next? A quick tip: it's good to work with somebody else to test out your journey as you're going along. Speak to somebody who could be a potential customer and actually talk them through the journey to see if for them it's an adequate and satisfying journey. Of course, that feedback will never be as accurate as somebody actually doing it, but it's a good starting point. The next one is the internal journey. What we're talking about is what is the framework for what you need to do in accordance to what the customer needs to do. So when the customer has done something, let's say you're a graphic designer and the customer says, I want a logo. What's the journey? Do you get a logo brief from them first, so their consultation? And then what happens after the logo brief? Do you then begin to make the logo, or do you actually prepare an invoice? So create for yourself what the journey is based on what the customer is also doing. What are the time frames? So when a customer sends a form, what's the time frame you use to assess so you can send a response to that form? If that makes sense. So it's like you're kind of looking at what you need to do within that journey that the customer is going through, and it helps you understand what you need to have in place. If they're filling in a form and they use JotForm, for example, or they use SurveyMonkey, or they use MailChimp, what happens next? What do you do with that data? There's other connected systems that you usually have to have in place. Okay, I need to save that data somewhere. So the first thing I do is I download that, I create a profile for the customer, I save the data. I create a folder for the customer, I keep the folder in my Dropbox, I keep the folder in my G Drive. So it gives you a system in place so you're moving things smoothly and professionally. The last part of the journey is correspondence and delivery. So what that talks about is the communication between the other two journeys. So when the customer fills in a form and you decide to create a folder for the customer, communication-wise, what's next? Do you tell the customer? Do you send out an email? Do you call them? Do you add them to a WhatsApp group? What do you do? Look at your communication and your correspondence. The good thing about doing that is it allows you to create templates for both your emails, your branded documents, so it saves you time. You don't have to send the same email every time a customer talks to you about something. You have a set email you can send them each time. You can even automate a lot of this stuff, which means the customer journey is so smooth, it reduces the work you have to do in terms of managing the customer relationship and allows you to focus on delivering that service or producing better products. The last point of this connects to the idea of making all these things flow together. What you can usually do is just create 3 levels, and you have customer journey, internal journey, correspondence and delivery. And you break down your service into stages. Understand at which point do you have a legally binding contract with your customer. That's important to understand. So you know this is the point where the terms and conditions must be sent. This is the point when invoice is sent. This is when payment. You can kind of create and understand exactly where a customer is in the journey. So you have maybe stage 1 is acquiring a customer, getting the customer essentially. Stage 2 is establishing the contract. Stage 3 is delivering the service. Stage 4 is aftercare. And you kind of identify what you do in each stage, and you kind of have a table that lets you know where each customer is. This is just good customer management, and it's just helpful ensuring that, okay, when someone comes to you and says, hey, I'm interested, you know exactly what to do with them because you know what stage they'd be in. You've got your price list, you can even give them a copy, or you can give them an outline of the journey. Or what happens next? And you can tell them this, that, and that. So if you go on the Kenblue website, for example, there is like an example on the Kenblue website where we talk about the journey you go through with Kenblue, where first you register, then we assess, then you decide, then we deliver. It's a 4-stage journey. It's quite clear. You register, you get involved, you get on our system, we create stuff on your behalf, we assess, we have an assessment with you, we work out what your needs are, we work out if what you've asked for is suitable for what you need, and we kind of discuss. Then we make recommendations for you based on what we've assessed, which means you decide what you want. Then once you decided what you want, we send you an invoice, we send you terms and conditions, you pay for that invoice, and then we deliver. So we've kind of mapped it out, for example, with Kenblue, but we have more detailed documents on exactly each step to step of that. I hope you've enjoyed the video. We actually have a free download available of the information we've spoken about today, so developing a service blueprint. For all of those who are in the Black and Blue network, please just get in contact with us and we'll send that to you. If you're not part of the network, click the link below. I can click the link below for you to actually download the service blueprint. But you have to be a part of the network to actually get it. So click on the link, visit us, download a resource that helps you to develop a service blueprint. Thank you guys for your time. Once again, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment. If this was useful and there's other things about developing your service you'd like to know, please let us know and we'll try and put a video together to support you. And again, if you want to support, www.kenblue.com, visit our website. We'll try to support you where we can. If you're part of the network, you automatically get our support and we're in your corner.